Okay, so what are we making today?
We are making lobster ramen from my cookbook, Simply Ramen.
Amazing. Best-selling ramen cookbook on Amazon?
It is one of the, yes, thank you.
So how did you get into cooking and ramen in general?
Well, I actually have always loved to cook.
Okay.
And through my younger years, my friends would always say, you know, it's a recipe. And then when blogs got really big, one of my friends suggested I start a blog called, so I did, and I called it Easy Peasy Japanesey.
Right.
Which it still is today, my blog.
Right, which I keep thinking is your business.
Which I wanted it to be the name of my first cookbook. So, segueing into Simply Ramen, I found a really great editor. She sent it to every great publisher known to man, and Race Point Publishing came back and said, we really like her, we thought the proposal was great, but we're not interested in that type of recipe cookbook. We would like her to do a cookbook on ramen.
Ramen?
So then ramen, yes.
Or ramen.
Or ramen.
We might do that book next.
Yes, so I said, okay, well, I don't know a lot about ramen. So I said I will send myself to Japan to go to ramen cooking school in Osaka. So I did that. So I was telling you how I used to pretend I had a cooking show when I was little. This is before cooking shows existed. So I used to go in the backyard and I would put out a table and I would make mud pies for my fake audience. And when cooking shows first started, they actually had mirrors above the stove area or where you were cooking, so the chef could lean their food towards the mirror and then it would be captured on camera. So I would pretend I had a mirror, I would make my mud pies, and I was also obsessed with the show Chips. Remember that show? And I was like in love with Ponch. So I would pretend that Ponch was my sous chef. And I'd be like, oh Ponch, you know, help me mix this. Help me make my mud pie. And then I would, you know, lean my mud pies from the mirror and have my cooking show. And so that's kind of maybe where it all started, in the backyard with mud pies. So we are making lobster ramen, and in order to do that, we have to start with a stock. And Japanese stock is called dashi. And dashi is normally made out of two ingredients. One of them is called kombu, which is a seaweed that is found deeper in the ocean. So the seaweed that you eat with like sushi, or you wouldn't normally eat it even after it's cooked.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just a thicker, more of like a seasoning type.
Like
of
a bay
seaweed.
leaf?
Kind of like a bay leaf, which we're also putting in our recipe. Yes. The other component of dashi is normally bonito fish flakes, which you would steep in the water as well.
Right.
But for this recipe, since we're doing lobster, we don't need that extra fish component because we have lobster. So, I just told you about beautiful, awesome kombu, which is a seaweed from deep in the sea that we're going to add to our broth. Bay leaves, shiitake mushrooms, which we are just crumbling by hand. They are dried, obviously. And we're gonna also put in 3/4 cup of butter. I like to use very good Kerrygold Irish butter, but any butter will do. And then we're also gonna add a 3/4 cup of this aji mirin, which is sweet cooking rice seasoning. Not to be confused with rice wine vinegar. If you were to put that into your soup, you would not like it because it would be very vinegary, which is... So right now I'm cutting down the lobster from tip to tail so that I can open it up a bit. And then I have shoved a soaked wooden skewer through it so that the lobster tail remains, so it can cook evenly and it will remain flat. And then I'm smooshing some awesome butter down the middle there. And then I'm rolling it up in heavy duty aluminum foil and making a little lobster package. And I'm doing that with all of my lobster. And I have set the oven to 400. And we'll cook these in this big baking pan because I don't want to lose any of those lobster juices for about 15 minutes, depending really on the size of your lobster, but they're gonna cook while they cool, so you kind of don't need to worry about it too much. 15 minutes seems to do it. And if you don't skewer them up like this, and they curl up, they just don't cook evenly, and so you'll get the center part that might be cooked right, and then the tail end that isn't. So that's why this is very important. And we're gonna throw those in the oven, get those juices in that pot of rolling lobster stock, and this will be done in a jiffy. In the oven for 15 minutes. All right, so the key to making a great ramen is to have all of the components that are needed for your final dish ready ahead of time, because it's all about timing, it's all about serving everything hot and delicious, and to do that you have to prep. So ahead of time I made roasted garlic butter. So I roasted 2 bulbs of garlic, and then I smushed them down and I whipped them into beautiful butter. And so when I serve, I'll just get a little ice cream scoop of garlic butter and I'll put that on top. So that's ready to go. And then this is a combination of baby arugula and baby spinach, just to add a little green. You always also want to keep in mind your color profile. So as you can see, we've got a lot of great color going on. This is a red cabbage, but you'll know it as a purple colored cabbage. It's called red cabbage. And this is my favorite Japanese gadget. It's a mandolin that adjusts to the width that you want and can make things like paper thin. So you've got roasted garlic butter, baby arugula and spinach, finely shaved red cabbage, your lemon zest, the lobster, and the wonderful half-cooked egg that's happening right now. Okay, so we are going to make the perfect half-cooked egg. And most of the time I will marinate it in this chashu broth, which is what I make the pork in for my ramen, but in this case we don't have that broth, so I'm going to just make a half-cooked egg without being marinated. So what you do is you start with a regular egg. I actually like to go to the Japanese market and get these golden eggs that are from Japan because their chickens are special and they only feed their chickens these certain types of food, and then the eggs come out with these golden, beautiful yolk. But this is just a regular grocery store egg. And this handy dandy gadget, it's called an egg pricker, I think. I don't really know. That pricks eggs, so I'm just gonna call it an egg pricker. And you prick a little hole in the bottom of your egg, and what that does is when you cook it, it will make kind of an air pocket outside of the egg so that it's easier to peel. So I'm gonna do that with these 2 eggs. And then right now I'm getting water up to a boil. And once it starts boiling, I will gently lay in my eggs. These eggs just came straight out of the refrigerator. When I wrote the cookbook, I thought, people don't want to take their eggs out of the refrigerator and wait however long it takes to get them to room temperature. So I'm going to figure out what the timing is for just taking eggs out of your refrigerator and putting them in boiling water. So that's what we're doing. I've set my alarm here for exactly 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Exactly. There is a science to this. Don't do it for 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Don't do it any less. That will make you the perfect, beautiful half-cooked egg. And what makes a beautiful half-cooked egg is that the white part gets completely cooked and then the center is golden and gooey when you cut it. And so when you put it into ramen, it just adds to the soup. It's just golden and gooey and drips all over everything. A lot of people, or some people, I don't know, I'm not friends with any of them, but people that don't like gooey eggs, I really don't get. So if you want to fully cook it, fine, but it's not good. I mean, people that like their eggs kind of overcooked or not runny a little bit, I just don't understand. So here is the ice bath that I've already pre-made so that I can lay my eggs right into it. The water is almost coming up to a boil, so I will add my eggs and then we'll cook them for 6.5 minutes. Ready? All right, so one of the lobsters has finished cooking, so we're gonna take our knife and kind of jimmy the bottom of it out, crack it open, and then gently pull it out so that it all comes out in one big tail, which is what I have difficulty doing. There we go. Ta-da! Oh. And then you're gonna take that shell and you're gonna throw it in your stock pot there. That's going to add more lobster flavor to the soup. This is my daughter Maggie, and she is 11 years old, going on 16, like most tweens. And last night, I'm going to show you what she helped make. Yes.
You got it?
Yeah. She was my little sous chef, and we made fresh ramen noodles.
Final part, eating. My favorite part, especially when someone prepares it for you. Thank you, Amy of Simply Ramen. You rock. Okay, lobster ramen. Digging in. All right. Oh my god.